So welcome to another Vault Business Podcast, Central Valley's business podcast. So we're doing this to help entrepreneurs, help business owners, just get information out so they can make better decisions in their business. For me, I feel like I didn't really have that entrepreneur aspect when I was growing in the industry, partly because of technology. And now we have technology beyond belief. So this is why we're doing this. So today we have Andrew Martinez. Andrew Martinez and I have been friends for a long time. And, tell us a little bit about yourself, Andrew.
Well, hello, everybody. And thank you, Jose, for having me out here. I really appreciate the opportunity. And a little bit about myself. What's that Leonard Skinner song? I'm a simple kind of man.
Simple man.
I'm a simple man. Born and raised here in Madera. Hopefully this podcast makes it beyond Madera, but I'm a homegrown kid. Went to school here my whole life. I have 3 kids, married. Shout out to my wife, Monica. And I gotta do this shit. I'll be in trouble, dude.
Yeah.
And I know I was invited here because I recently went back to school in my later years of life. I started one semester and dropped out, and then I went back. So I just graduated. I also do real estate for a few years. Funny story, I kind of got my real estate license when I was like 18 years old. But I only did it for a few years, and I stopped, and then came back to it. So my mom, Juby Gutierrez, for London Properties, she always encouraged me to get my license, and watching her, and kind of grew up around the industry and stuff like that. So I decided to quit my full-time job and come and just jump right into real estate about 4 years ago. And
now, Andrew, what did you major in? What did you graduate? Because you recently graduated.
Correct.
From what school?
I started at Madera Center.
Okay.
And so I kind of went there for a few years. And they're all connected and hooked up with Reedley College, Fresno City, Oakhurst, stuff like that. And so graduated through SCCCD. There's 3 C's. And so but majority of my classes were at Madera Center. And then after that, I transferred to Fresno Pacific.
And you graduated, what was your major?
My major is business administration.
Oh, perfect.
On organizational leadership.
Perfect. So this is actually going to be great. So today's episode is definitely for a younger audience, somebody that's getting out of high school that is trying to make something of themselves. Of course, me going to college myself, I went to 2 years of Merced College, didn't graduate, got an AA, and then I started my business career. So right out of high school, go to college, and then I figured, you know what, I'm gonna start something new, and I ended up starting in the mortgage industry, and this is where I've been for the last 2 decades. So for me, it kind of was a little different. Like I thought I was going to go the college route, but then I ended up going the business route.
Right.
And today's topic is a little controversial because, what I've been seeing is that I've been seeing that a lot of these high schools, and even my high school, they're going into a vocational route. And since you graduated from, a college, I wanted to get your perspective. Is going to college, is there a return on investment, or is it better to go to vocational schools and go out to the workforce that way? So right now, I think what ends up happening is, we have these children that are going to high school and they just really don't have a route to go through. And more than anything is to provide them great information, So right now, would you say that from graduating from high school, going to college, and then becoming a self-employed real estate agent, what is your idea of how all this works, Andrew? Do you feel that it's worth it, or is this something that, maybe you can go a different route? What's your perspective on this?
Well, I know the conversations that I have with my son. My son's 18, so he just graduated last year. So I'm having these conversations literally in the present with him constantly. And, having gone to school, it is really, it's a journey. It's more of a transformation when you begin to when you finish. But, ultimately, I think it was difficult for me because I went back in my 30s.
Okay.
Working full-time job, trying to go to school, balance everything, life, and my passion is to coach soccer, so I also have to throw that in there too because it is a big part of my life. But from ages 18 to 22, 23, I mean, I tell my son all the time, there's nothing better that you should be doing for yourself than going to school, at 18. He could stay home, he has meals, he has a roof over his head, he has clothes. I help him with gas, it's very affordable going to like a community college, things like that. So I don't even think I paid anything going to Madera Center because they give you all these Pell Grants and there's all financial aids. And so from 18 to 20 or 18 to 21, I really think there's nothing better for a young adult to do than focus on that education, get it out the way, and then pursue whatever dream it is that you're going after that.
So this is a unique perspective, right? Because I mean, essentially you're saying you're developing in college, you're developing your skills to take out into the world. So I know that we get this perspective, like go to a vocational school and then go into the workforce. But what you're saying, Andrew, is you're saying that actually going to school betters you and prepares you better for a life after school, going into the workforce. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, especially if you say something like, like, oh, a vocational school is to go and, like you said, get a job, right? You're getting a job and you're going to start working and something maybe you're passionate about or whatever that may be. But ultimately, my major was business administration. So if you one day want to take that vocational training and specialty that you're going to do and turn that into a business, wouldn't it make sense to also learn how to run a business?
Yeah.
How to have employees, how to like build an organization, administration, and kind of build upon that? Because that's what I love about my major is that, that can do anything. You could be a doctor, but you could have a bad practice and it could fail because you didn't know how to be financially responsible. You didn't know
Makes sense.
Employees. You didn't know how to, maybe you go to vocational school because you want to be a plumber. Okay, great. You could go plumbing, but wouldn't it be cool to own your own business one day? I mean, isn't that ultimately the goal?
Right.
So why not build a foundation that after that you could sky's the limit with that kind of stuff?
Well, I'm going to be a devil's advocate here because it right now I was actually doing a Google search. 73% of Americans are starting vocational schools. So I do have a good friend of mine that owns a plumbing company, did not go to college whatsoever.
You said these are guys right out of high school?
Right out of high school.
Okay.
He started his plumbing career and now he owns his own company. I think he developed over time. I mean, we're talking about like a $1 million plus, business that he's grossing. So in my opinion, I think that we look at this in both ways, right? So it's not a cookie cutter thing for one, child or another. Like my son right now is actually starting a business. He is starting a sneaker resale business.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So he's 9 years old. He's actually going and getting his bank account today.
Cool.
And I see the entrepreneur spirit in him already.
Absolutely.
I see that he wants to become that business person. In my perspective, if my son came to me and said, hey, I have a passion for this. This is something that I want to do. Of course, I'm going to continue my education through elementary and through, high school. But you know what, Dad, I really feel like being an entrepreneur and growing that out. Being an entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart. Like you really have to wake up every single morning and live on a dream. Mm-hmm. And what I would tell you is that, right now, looking at my son growing this out, and he's pushing every single day at 9 years old, I don't know if I could tell him that college would be right for him.
Right.
I mean, I'm going to let him do what he wants to do. And if he decides, I do want to go to college, of course I'm going to support him. Mm-hmm. But for me, I think that he's seen the path of his dad not going to college and doing, things in business that gave him that entrepreneur spirit. And really, we've seen a lot of great people, the Steve Jobs of the world, that did not finish college, but, they've done great things in their life, right?
Absolutely.
It doesn't happen for everyone. But what I would tell you is that if you do have that entrepreneur spirit, would you be opposed that your son not go to college?
Well, I guess I would answer your question with another question. Does college kill the entrepreneur spirit, or what?
Yeah.
Why would they not want to also kind of do both, or with still that same focus? There's even classes that are offered for entrepreneurship.
Right.
Right. What is the...
So great perspective.
Are you saying it's better to just jump right into the business and kind of trial and error?
Well, I think what I'm looking at is okay, well, we're going to go to college. We're going to learn business administration, but we can also actually learn to, do business
Right.
outside of school, right?
Mhm.
Is it harder? I do believe that it's harder because we don't have the foundation
Right.
that you have right now in business
I
administration.
mean, like, look at accounting classes. You know what I mean? I mean, if you don't know how to like have inventory, right? There's going to be overhead costs. You know, there's going to be there's so much that is associated with running a business. You know, and you do it all here, but also you never had to purchase product,
Right.
right? So I actually used to own a small cell phone store. I lived in Texas for a few years, and my wife and I opened a cell phone store, and I just jumped right in it. Had obviously no college, no training, no nothing. I had worked for several cell phone companies and kind of had some mentors that, you know, encouraged me to start my own business. And we started at the swap meet, just hustling phones, just selling and selling and slanging those. This was back in the day when they used to be able to unlock the phones.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't really have to buy the phone because they could bring their phone already. I was able to just like flash it.
Right. I remember that.
We would flash the phone and we put like cricket service and things like that on it.
Yeah.
And then we were just hustling like that. And then, you know, I got all brave for making money and I said, hey, I'm going to open a storefront. You know, I opened a storefront. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now I got rent. Now I had to buy glass case displays. I had to buy computer systems, POS systems. I had, you know, all this stuff I had to start investing into, start marketing, start doing stuff. So I started really it was trial and error for me and my wife. I mean, we were just throwing money at it and seeing what sticks and what's working. But the real killer of that whole thing was we had to buy the phones now, right?
Yeah.
To start buying cell phones to sell. And back then, if you remember, you used to have to give the phones for free, right?
Correct.
Free with an activation.
Yes.
So you would pay $200-$300 for these phones, and then you would give them out for free, but then you wouldn't get reimbursed until like the end of like the third month.
Wow.
Of them doing the phone. So then that first month goes by. Okay, I gave away all my phones, but now I got to buy more to give away again, and now not getting paid till 3 months later.
Right.
And I didn't kind of really think about that money right away, and so it caught up to us until the point where I was like, hey, I'm all out of phones. Okay, so then finally that first check comes in after the second month, and okay, I got my money now, but then I got to go buy more now again.
Right.
Those out again.
Right.
And that turnover ratio it was really difficult. It wasn't until when I went to college and I took accounting classes and they were talking about inventory, talking about depreciation, and I'm sitting there like, yeah, this would have really helped me
Right.
if I would have known this, or just really had some great mentors. If that could have been possible for me, that would have been a big help. But also sometimes you just got to learn too on your own through experience. There's no better lesson. I mean, I could sit there in an accounting class for 4 hours, but until it's your money getting pushed out and you're the one really taking losses and hits, life experiences would be the best case scenario for sure. So, I don't know. I guess, I don't know.
No, but I like your perspective, though. I like your perspective. You know, you started, talking about, well, why can't we do both? Why can't I go to school, learn business administration, learn everything that I need to do, and then go on business? I think that you've changed my perspective, right? So coming from somebody that didn't go to college for business and just, going out there and just making it happen, living on a dream. We talk about, living on a dream. You gave me a different perspective on, college, So here's a unique thing. Chowchilla has a career technical education program that they started, and as you know, I'm from Chowchilla, the Chowchilla area. They have a career technical for agriculture, business and marketing, computer science, culinary, medical, music, and public safety. So I feel that they are taking that step out where maybe getting people ready for the workforce by starting at the high school level is getting them to where they want to go. Now, you can start at the high school level with these career, technology programs and then still go to college, of course, but you have a basis. And I think that more than anything, starting with a base of what you're trying to do is the most important thing. There is no right way. There's no right way. You can go to, college and make it work that way. You can also leave high school and become an entrepreneur, just like you were with the cell phone. So if anything, this gives me a different perspective to say, hey, you know what? My way or the business route is not always the right route for a child. I think that it can be both ways.
Right.
Whatever works for that child. Maybe it doesn't work for my son. Maybe college works for somebody else. But I truly feel that it is a hot topic right now should you send your child to,
Right.
college? Is there a return on investment, going to school or actually going into business? But based off of what I'm hearing from you, Andrew, somebody that's gone to college, graduated, and has a business, you opened my eyes.
Well, I could tell you, I know that, trying to, I'll go back to that, but let me just say this part too, that when I went to school, it was because I used to work for a government job, right? And so to move up in that industry, you had to have a degree. Like it was required. It was absolutely required. And so that's when I started the journey of schools, because my mind at that time was I want to be a director. I got these different ambitions. And then I actually went to school, started school. It took me a long time. I'm doing it part-time, and that's my goal. I'm going. But something happened. And that's why I said it's a transformation from the time you start to the time you finish. By the time I was coming out of it, I actually didn't want to work there no more. Like I felt like I had changed, like what I wanted changed, the way I felt about myself changed. And I was like, you know what? I can actually do better than this place. And I have other ambitions. And part of that was being my own boss, being my own, that's why I like real estate, because it gives me the freedom to kind of be my own little entrepreneur and have my own little business, and so that's essentially, from the time I started, it was with one goal. And by the time I finished, my goal was to actually quit the job that I was trying to go into. And I literally quit it and jumped into this other thing. And sometimes that's what happens, you know what I mean? And so, you never know what life has for you. But I can at least also say that if anything else fails, I do now have my degree, that if I got to go back and get some other job, then I could do that. The thing about vocational school is that's only going to be in one field. They can only do that one thing. What if you change your mind? What if I don't want to be a plumber no more? But guess what? I have 17 years experience of plumber. I can always only be a plumber now.
Right.
Unless you want to go and do a whole vocational thing again, I guess you can do that. It is pretty short term. But when you have these degrees that are in these kind of vast fields, it gives you kind of a little bit more leeway to move around and try and jump into different fields and different careers. And because I could tell you, the person when I was 20, that the mindset at 20 is not the same person I am today.
Right.
The guy at 30 is not the same guy I am today. We change. Our views change. Our careers change. Our minds change. We get influenced by different people. And so, I would say having your education, to me, is very, very important. No better thing that this kid can do from 18 to 22. I mean, what else are you going to do? You get to go hang out at a frat house and sorority house and do things like that. Why not jump in it?
Honestly, you've opened my eyes, Andrew, to there's another way, right? There's another way. Maybe this didn't work for me, but it could work for another child. So great perspective, Andrew. I truly am happy that we had this conversation. I don't believe that these conversations come out as often as they should. There may be
shout out to all the people that didn't go to school and they are successful though, and good for them. And I couldn't be more happy for them or for you.
Yeah.
And your office is amazing here, and you are an inspiration, I'm sure, for people that they didn't go that route, but there is a way for everybody. It just takes ganas.
There it is.
Ganas at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Well, Andrew, this was fun, man. I'm glad that we were able to do this together. It brings me great joy to have a good friend of mine come out. I know that you and I have had these conversations in the past, together, but now we actually get to bring them on camera and give a different perspective. And hopefully somebody out there can learn from both perspectives and say, hey, you know what, this can be right for me. So
Absolutely.
This is always great. Again, you are watching Vault Business Podcast. This podcast is going to continue to give great information for you guys. And it's going to be about business, but a little bit about personal and a little bit about the guest that comes on. So thank you guys again for watching.
Peace out, guys. All right. Thank you, Jose.